Alright, so variables are namespaces in memory that holds different types of data. Kotlin uses two keywords to specify how this data will be held or how it can be manipulated in memory. So the first keyword we're going to use is val. Val lets Kotlin know that this data will be read-only. Once we pass information to this variable, the data cannot be changed. So we start off with the keyword, which is val, which lets us know that it's read-only. Then we specify a name for the variable. So in this case, I want to hold a value that will hold the day of birth, which is the number. So I'm gonna call it day of birth. I use camel case, which is first start off with a lowercase letter for the first word, and then uppercase for the next couple words. Then I use a colon, and then pass in int. This will let Kotlin know that I want a variable called day of birth, which will hold a int, which is a number, and we'll pass in 11. And then we'll have another variable, which is val, read only, month of birth, and then colon, an int, which will let Kotlin know that this is going to be an int, an integer, a number, and then pass in 7. Now, to show that I'm not lying, that this information is actually in day of birth and month of birth, we're going to print this out. Let's use println because I'm going to make it a prompt. So, month of birth, colon. Then we'll use plus to concatenate it. We're going to go into a thing called string templates later on. But for now, I'm going to show you guys that you can literally just add on a variable to a string or a number, whatever message that you're going to put into this print. Just add a plus to concatenate it. So, month of birth. And this weekly line that you're going to get will let us know that, you can use a template, but we're going to go over that later on in the series. And then print another println to print out the day of birth. So we're going to put day of birth, colon, concatenate it with the variable day of birth. And then if you play that, you will see month of birth and you will see day of birth. So it is holding the information that you're assigning it to this variable. And yeah, this equal mean is pretty much assignment operator. You're assigning 11 to day of birth of type int, which is read only because of val, and you're assigning 7 to this variable of type int using read only. This cannot be changed. Your day of birth cannot be changed. Your month of birth cannot be changed. That is a fact. Alright, so the second keyword we'll be using is var. Var lets Kotlin know that the information that we're about to store can be changed later on. The information is mutable. So we can read the information and we can write the information. It's pretty much the same approach as val, which is we just choose a name for the variable, which in my case, I want to choose name. Because sometimes the name that your parents chose is just not right. It's not right for you. So in my case, I want to change my name. And this variable is going to hold a string, which is text. And the name that I want to change to is Bobby. Alright. And then I'm going to use one more var. And we're going to call this last name. And we're going to infer, or we're going to let Kotlin know that this is going to be a string, which is also text. And the last name is going to be Boucher. Some people change their last names, maybe they get married. Some people don't. It's really up to you if you want to let the person change their last name or not. In my case, free reign. Bobby Boucher. I let you guys, figure out where that's from. So now we can print out, our first and last name. Actually, let's use ln. So our first name, or my first name, or actually my new first name is, and then you concatenate that with name. Actually, let's make it more specific. First name. first name, and then println my new last name, colon, then add last name, and then let's print that. Oh, well, I can't spell, I guess. Last, let's run that again. But as you guys can see, it's a val, and then that's printing out the first prompt, and then our var is printing out my new first name is Bobby and my new last name is Boucher. But the cool thing about var is that, you know, maybe I want to change that again. And let's change first name to Pops Boucher. And then let's grab that first name again. And then if we print that and run that, you will see, boom, my first name is Pops, but the initial one was Bobby. So it only changes when it gets to this line. After that, that becomes the new value that we assign to first name. So before, if we use val, which is read only, once we even think about changing it and trying to assign it a new value, Kotlin already sees that, no, that's not what you agreed with initially. You said it's val, it cannot be assigned or reassigned. It'll let you know, do you want to change it to var, which is mutable. It could be changed. So you got to think about these things when you're creating an application. Like, do you want the information to be changed? Or do you want it to just stay the same value once the information is being assigned to it? By convention, it's recommended that you use val, but if you know the information is going to be changed, use var. Alright, so the cool thing about Kotlin is that we can let Kotlin infer the type of the variable. So before we were specifying the type that we want to hold into this variable, but we can literally just remove all of this. We can remove the data type that we specified it to, and we can let Kotlin infer the type. So in this case, if we were to run this, we can see that it works perfectly. Kotlin was able to see that this is a string without us specifying it. Now, the issue is if we try to pass in another type, this will cause a problem. Literal or integer literal does not conform to the expected type, which is string. So because we instantiated this originally with a string, which is Bobby, we can't just make it switch into another data type, because that's not the contract, or that's not what we agreed on. We let Kotlin infer that this is a string, so it has to maintain that data type, which is a string. So let's leave it as a string. But this is a very powerful tool with Kotlin. Sometimes we just, we don't have to. If we know exactly what to expect with the type, we can let Kotlin infer it. And that saves some time.